talk about anything that everybody else is talking about because it's all so boring and they've all said everything, so we're saying nothing.
You get so passionate about it, you know, when you watch people talk about it, and you get so angry about whatever you think, that I don't think we can talk about it on any level.
No, darling, and I have something very important to tell you all. Yesterday afternoon, I was doing a little show with a friend of mine online, and we were making cocktails. And I did Twinkle, which is my favorite, vodka, champagne, and elderflower cordial, and a cosmopolitan. I haven't had a cocktail for over a year. So we finished filming at about 4:30, and I drank them both. Tuesday afternoon, dear. I've never felt so fabulous. And you know what they say, Tuesday afternoons are always a low time.
Yes. And you know what you've also said, darling? You also told me you've never been drunk. Is this still the case?
It was only 2 cocktails, darling, but I felt fabulous. I cannot tell you. It just, my spirits were lifted. I thought, why aren't I doing this every afternoon at 4:30? Well, I know why, obviously. But it was sensational. Just sharing.
Go down that road.
Tempting.
No, dear. Now I'm back on the tea, obviously, or maybe at night.
Well, anyway, more importantly, our first guest is that gorgeous man, that comes into our lives all the time, that Andrew Barton. Where are you, Andy?
Hi, Barton.
In his salon. You're in your salon.
What's the news?
Here I am.
Yeah.
What's happening? What's happening, darling? Tell us all.
What's happening is less than 5 weeks to go, ladies.
Yes.
How exciting is that?
Can't wait.
I can't wait. Neither can I, Sherry. Neither can I.
I know.
But in the meantime, I know there's lots of people at home going absolutely stare crazy mad.
Yeah.
White grey hair showing. They're looking at themselves on Zoom work conferences, family Zoom parties, and seeing all those pesky, horrid roots. So today what I want to do is just share with everybody at home how they can temporarily fix that until they get back to their hairdresser.
Wait, tell us.
Tell us. Okay, so there's lots of different ways you can do it. And particularly is these temporary colour fixers that you're spraying at your roots. So I've brought a little selection along today of some of my and the first one is from L'Oreal Professional, and it's called Hair Touch Up. It's £9.95. It's available in salons, obviously not at the moment because they're not open, but you can get it online. And the little trick is it has this tiny little nozzle, Professional. So that little tiny nozzle, you spray it at the roots of your hair over those pesky white grey hairs, and it gives you a temporary fix. It's a really, really lightweight spray, this one. That's why I love it so much. And freeze dry technology, which means that when you spray it onto the hair, it dries instantly.
Right, good.
Rinses out after one shampoo.
Yeah,
fabulous.
Can I just
and
ask
the next one, please?
I've got dark roots, Barty. Can you get blonde?
You can, and a little trick here as well, girls, is when you're buying one of these, always go one shade lighter with your colour choice of the ones that you pick. The one that I've just shown you from L'Oreal Professional, look, they've got 6 different.
Wow.
But Barty, I must tell you something, that I always use the shade darker than mine. I use the L'Oreal because I like the dark roots, you see.
Yeah, me too.
Oh, I like that top. I'm going to remember that one.
Yeah.
That's a good one. Let me show you then kind of, the L'Oreal Professional one is £9.95.
Right.
On the other side of the market, kind of value.
Yes.
It's available in chemists and supermarkets.
That's what I use.
£5.
Yeah.
Yeah. So L'Oreal Paris. The first one that I showed you was L'Oreal Professional, which is the hairdresser's choice.
Yes.
This is L'Oreal Paris in supermarkets and chemists.
Right. Really. Got that.
Thank you.
And then taking you to the other end of the luxury hair care market, we've got a range by a fantastic hairdresser called Josh Wood.
Josh Wood.
Yeah. Josh has a swanky salon in West London.
Right.
Ooh.
And if there's an A-lister celebrity you want to mention, he's probably done her hair.
Wow.
And he's created this range of root touch-up ones. This one lasts up to 3 washes.
Wow.
Gosh.
A bit better. Slightly more longer lasting for people. And what I love about this is the ones I've shown you so far had the nozzle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With the Josh Wood one, the root airbrush, it's a spray.
Oh.
Ah.
Wow.
Spray that at the hair, so it's a lot finer. But the clever little hairdresser that Josh is, not only has he done the airbrush one, he's also done this as well, which is fantastic.
Ooh, that's amazing.
Wow.
Makeup as an inspiration. It's a blending brush. And
Oh.
press at the bottom.
Blending brush.
And then the colour comes out.
Yeah.
You just blend it into your...
Very good.
That's really clever. That's
like
really
that.
good.
You can work with your fingers on that one. Very precision based.
Yes.
£14, joshwood.com. But let me just explain exactly how these root touch-ups work as well. They're manufactured and created with tiny little makeup pigments. So the same as you use the foundation on your skin or an eyeshadow, it's these tiny little pigments that then help to temporarily disguise your white or grey hairs. The other thing that's brilliant about them as well is often as a woman matures, none of you lot, is that the fine hairs around the hairline often become weaker and weaker and even finer. And what these root touch-ups do is they actually kind of make the hairline feel a little bit fuller as well. So
fabulous.
Temporary fixes.
Yeah.
Lockdown, but also they're good, you know, in normal circumstances. It's a good way of stretching your colour a little bit longer if you're ready.
I know, Andrew, I use mine, the slightly darker one, when I've just had my colour done, because I like how it textures my hair.
Debbie, you are so right. It does give it a bit of texture as well, doesn't it? Without textures, that thing, I always get a bit scared because you still want the hair to look and feel like hair.
Yeah.
But for it to have that little bit more oomph. And I love that.
Yeah.
It's brilliant.
Brilliant.
But you have to be careful, Andrew, that when you spray them on, that they don't bleed into the rest of your blonde.
Yeah.
You know,
and
that's the only thing.
That's why it's a good idea to think about your applicator. It's always about the applicator. So, you know, the finer nozzles are going to help to direct it right at the root area. The ones with the spray is going to distribute a bit further.
Andrew, I don't think anyone's talked to me about an applicator for a long time, so thank you, darling.
She's disgusting.
Or a
Well, listen,
nozzle.
darling, we'll see you in a couple of weeks' time.
Can I tell you what's coming in a couple of weeks' time, Debbie?
Yeah.
I've got a really special show lined up in a couple of weeks' time. I'm going to be talking about grey or not to grey.
Oh.
Yes, please.
Question.
No, grey.
No, good. All right, darling. Thank you.
Love
Take
you.
care. We'll see you soon.
Love you, darling.
That was
Thank you.
amazing. Really helpful. Thank you.
To grey or not to grey, that is not a question. I'm sorry.
No,
That is not a question.
never to be, ever to be.
Never,
No.
never.
And now we have got the most gorgeous, talented, amazing guest, my very good friend, who you'll all know who he is, Sanjeev Bhaskar. Come in, Sanjeev.
And there
Hello,
he
darling. Welcome back.
The fabulous WonderBirds.
Sitting in your little, where are you? You seem to be in a cupboard.
In a
I am
library. I
covered.
thought a library, darling.
Very well.
Library.
Yes, library is the polite word, and cupboard is
Thank you.
the real word. So I am in my cupboard. I know my
Yes.
place.
Yes.
You do know your
Have you been reading a lot? Have you been reading a lot of books in lockdown, darling?
I haven't read a single one of these.
Is it just wallpaper,
they're not
darling?
real.
Is it all wallpaper?
Yeah, they're all hollow. They're all hollow.
Pleased to hear it.
nails and screws and bolts in them.
Yes.
But but we do that. I've kind of tried to tastefully arrange some books. I've got
I know.
Emmy in the corner.
Very
Um,
good.
Oh, fantastic.
Well, that's showing off.
Not
Is it?
bitter at all.
Is that
We're not
Half
bitter.
of the
We're not
guitar.
bitter.
Is
Can we see it,
that a
please?
man drawer? Is that your man cupboard?
Yes, I'm in my kind of man cave attic.
Mm.
Oh,
So
Cupboard.
this is where
Cupboard.
the magic is supposed to happen, but never does.
Ah, amazing.
have you got any Thunderbird CDs there?
I don't know if they're behind me, actually. I know I've got my Thunderbird model is downstairs, and
yes.
I think the DVDs are downstairs as well.
Oh,
Fantastic. You're brilliant in Thunderbirds, darling. And also, because I remember the very first time it was ever thought of, before it was even a twinkle, I was there. So this is amazing.
Are
This
you
is
talking
amazing.
about Thunderbirds or me?
yes, I was just going to say.
I think a little bit of both,
darling.
I think.
Both,
A little bit of
both.
both.
I believe that.
You've never been called a twinkle before, darling, have you?
No, well, no words
Not
that sound
knowingly.
like it, but not
Haven't
that.
you?
particular
Words to
word.
that effect.
Yes, exactly. You finished Unforgotten in October, and it's just going out, and I'm riveted by the plot and your performance, of course, which is amazing. And I
Sensational.
just think I'm just so enjoying it. Did you love filming it?
Yeah, it's as you all know, as you are doing now, actually, when you get to work and spend time with really lovely people, that's your sense memory of any job, is really how you felt when you were doing it. So whether a job that you do ultimately becomes successful in the ways that other people describe success, or not, as other people describe it, ultimately is kind of immaterial, because your feeling when you're making it is the only thing that's real. So I was really lucky with Unforgotten, particularly over 4 series, to just have had a really good time and work with really good people. And it's very easy on project, again, as you all know, that one person can blight the whole thing. And because you work around people and you walk on eggshells, and there was none of that on this series. So we had the same director over 4.
Yeah.
Working with Nicola Walker is like meeting your best friend every day, and you get to work. So it's just fabulous.
So how was it done in lockdown, though, Sanjeev?
Well, we filmed about 2/3 of it before the lockdown. So around this time last year we were filming.
Okay.
In fact, around this time last year was when we were about to stop, and then we picked up for another month. And so when we came back, we were tested twice a week. We were temperature checked every morning. Everybody on set was distanced, and usually where you're filming, there'll be a crowd of people. There'll be makeup and costume, and there'll be a couple of cameras and a couple of sound, and so all of that was pared right down. And other than eagle-eyed viewers will be difficult to tell what was filmed when, apart from the fact that my character has mysteriously put on about 3 stone. Other than that, I did suggest to them, actually, before we started filming, I said, is there any way we could drop in shots of my character Sonny just eating an eclair? I said, you could just drop it in anywhere you want.
Please.
Getting out of a car, just a close-up of an eclair going in, and that might explain it, but that wasn't taken on board.
Funny.
Yeah. You look very slim now, though, darling.
I'm breathing in. Thank you.
Are you doing any more? Are you doing any more of Unforgotten?
They've always been commissioned one at a time, so
Right.
I guess
as always, yeah.
As always, yeah. I mean, there are that you do hear of some series with some envy where they've said they've already commissioned 2 more or something, but
I know.
from the first series onwards, this has been one at a time.
I remember when we were doing Benidorm, because we did 10 years of that. I remember the first year they said, and 2 years have been commissioned. We went, oh my God. We were all in such a state because we'd got 2 years worth of work.
Right.
And then another 2 years. And we thought, oh my God, please God, let that carry on. And it didn't.
But the wonderful thing is we commission ourselves on this weekly. So we're endlessly commissioning ourselves. It's a breath of fresh air. Darling, what's coming up next for you now?
Not a lot, actually. I mean, I've just finished filming a couple of scenes for a thing called The Sandman, which is for Netflix, which is
Oh, wow.
a fantasy
Ooh.
thing written by Neil Gaiman. And so we were filming that last week, actually. Yeah.
Mhm.
So I filmed that last week for 3 days, and then the day after I got my jab. So
Yes.
it was quite a week. So that I think that'll be out. I mean, they're filming till July, so that'll be end of the year, I would have thought, at least. The other thing that as an actor you get a little whoa is when they say they've commissioned next series, and you go, that's great, they said the scripts, they've commissioned the scripts for the
The
next
scripts.
series, and I go, oh yeah, of course, I'm not involved in that.
Darling, how was your jab? Let me know. I need to know, how was your jab?
You know what, the jab itself was utterly painless.
I
think
know,
had-
I didn't think they'd done it.
well, there is a metaphor there, actually,
Yeah.
Sherry, that we shouldn't really pursue, but
No, but Sherry could never feel a little prick, you see, ever. Sorry,
I
did
didn't.
I say that?
Yeah, I didn't want to go. I mean, I couldn't go there.
No, you
But-
didn't, and you're quite right.
No,
Knowing the tone.
But
Gentlemen.
I can go there. Which one did you have?
I had the AstraZeneca.
We've
Yeah.
all had the
Yes.
same one, I think.
Oh,
We
okay.
did.
Yeah.
Yes.
And
Yeah,
how
I
did
mean, it
you
was gonna
feel
be,
after it, darling?
24 hours of feeling, a little bit achy and a little bit tired, but that kind of passed. But that's no different to normal. So
Yes.
Yeah.
how's I supposed to
Yeah,
tell?
me too. I had a little bit of a swelling, but that was nothing to do with the jab.
So,
So
no, I was going to say, and we don't need to know about that.
Can't-
Here. We have a lot
Here
of
we go.
issues with her
Are we
wind.
st- we
and
still
I'm
talking
sorry
about
you've
the
had to bring
arm,
it
or
up,
have we?
No, it's talking about wind, dear. It's wind,
Ah,
but we don't discuss it.
We do
No, that's
sometimes.
Pfizer. Actually, talking about Pfizer, aren't they the people that do Viagra?
Pfizer.
Sorry. Yeah,
So
the
you could get,
Pfizer
are you
jab.
suggesting
Isn't
are you
Pfizer-
suggesting you get a twofer? Is that what you're
No,
suggesting?
I'm just saying that the Pfizer jab, I'm sure Pfizer, they do Viagra. I think they make Viagra.
well, didn't they used to make compost?
Did
It just
they?
gets
Did they,
better.
when they the
Dear
same
God.
people?
Dear God, it just gets better.
It's like it's like the acting version of a triple threat, isn't it? Really, it's vaccines,
Sanjeev,
Viagra, and
Sanjeev,
compost.
I want to ask you this. You did a quiz show, didn't you?
I did, yes, very
Which,
briefly.
are you ever going to do any more of that?
I don't think that's going to come back. I mean, I think that had we done another one, I think there would have been improvements, because you
Yeah.
you learn from it, really. I mean, that used to be the great thing about all television, was that you were series were given 2 or 3 to kind of bed in
Yeah.
and find their feet, whereas now they just have to hit the
Yeah.
ground running. and be
Those were the
perfect.
days.
Yeah,
Those
I
were the
remember.
days.
Did you enjoy doing a quiz show?
I did, yeah. I think I would have liked some changes to it. It was quite frenetic, but I enjoy watching them. So
Yeah.
there was a
Do you-
huge volume of questions.
Do you do any radio?
Not very much, I have to say.
Why
That's
are you
it's
offering,
a really
Debbie?
nice, it's a really nice medium, actually. I love doing radio, because I was going to say you have a good face for radio.
Thank you very much. I think particularly at the moment, I've just realised how stupid my hair is, and I feel like I should have come on with a ruff or something. It is that stupid, but not proper Elizabethan, in the way that in the 60s people used to suggest that Elizabethan Shakespeare people
Yeah.
would look. It's slightly stupid, long, and it would have, a neck brace would have done it.
Well, I think you're gorgeous. I didn't mean that to be rude, darling. So what I would like to know is, of all of the jobs that you've done, which is your very favourite? That's an interesting.
Other than
question.
this,
That's
obviously.
really tricky.
Oh.
Different ones for different reasons. I mean, instinctively, when you asked me that, the image that came to mind was on stage as King Arthur in Spamalot.
Oh,
Yes.
Ooh.
I'd never done a musical before, not done one since. But just the experience of speaking Monty Python's words, which I'd done,
Yeah.
with my friends over drinks much earlier. That was great, and it just led to the friendships with, Terry Jones and Terry Gilliam and Michael Palin and Eric Idle, and people that I idolized when I was a kid. So that probably was the most significant, I think, emotionally and personally to me. But also, I mean, Goodness Gracious Me was the first thing I did. The Kumars at number 42 was the first
Oh,
thing.
I
that
love the Kumar.
That was brilliant.
Oh, how brilliant would you all have been as guests?
Oh, we would love that.
Yes.
Oh my God.
Mayhem.
We should bring it all
Oh.
back. The great thing about now and how people are working now and creating things, we've all become very creative, because before lockdown happened, you know, it was the BBC commissioned this, commissioned that, ITV commissioned, and now with what's happened with lockdown, everything is growing. Lots of people are doing all different things. So then there must be other ways that we can make exciting stuff happen. You know, you as well. Are you thinking about doing anything online?
I haven't thought about it specifically, but now you've mentioned it. I mean, it's also interesting that you were saying that given this last year, especially, you know, the difficulty that I think a lot of people have is that you begin to feel that you're in an unfortunate position and therefore you're an unfortunate person.
Yes.
And, you know, the language that we use in our own heads to ourselves is vitally important. And so that sense of feeling lucky, for whatever reason, I think is essential to kind of survive. And once you can get that, then you can go into that creative space where you see it as a challenge. You know, it's very easy for people to say that, you know, it's a challenge and some people rise to it. But I think before that, you have to not feel unfortunate. And, you know, for some people, you know, it's been terrible and tragic and there's no getting around that. But it was a conversation that Mira and I were having this time last year when we, you know, theatres, which are still closed and affecting so many people and so many livelihoods. And we didn't know what was going to happen with ours. And in the middle of it, I said to her, I said, you know, I was friends with Roger Moore and I'm friends with Alan Alda. And she said, what's that got to do with it? And I said, everything. Because I just then thought, you know, if I was lucky enough to have been friends with Roger and I'm friends with Alan, then I cannot be an unfortunate person.
That's brilliant.
Great way of looking at it.
I love
Absolutely.
that.
Great. It's a fantastic way of looking at it. And we had on yesterday, we had on Monday, on International Women's Day, we had Linda Cruz on, who is a very inspirational woman. And the way she spoke about things as well, as opposed to giving people a hand down, you give them a hand up.
Right. I mean, it's you know, it's all about that. It's all about feeling connected, and therefore, you know, once you feel connected, you don't feel that you're better than anybody else. You know, you feel compassion, which I think is just a much healthier starting place. And also, you know, one of the things I love about you guys and your, you know, collective energy and your friendships are that it's entering a really warm, supportive space. And that's the other thing is to get people around you who will tell you the truth about you in the kindest way.
Yeah.
Because that is the other way that you kind of survive and you know, and blossom.
In this lockdown, I think a lot of people, you know, me included, have felt a bit sorry for themselves. And, you know, I needed a slap and get off my ass and actually go, come on, you've done this for 500 years. Get on with it. You can still do it, create, and, you know, you can do things. And I think it took me a while to kind of give myself a big slap. WonderBirds helped because it kept my mind focused, but I lost my brother last year, which I'm still not over. And so that I kind of said, oh, come on, be a bit kind to yourselves. Come on, be kind to yourself. But nevertheless, get off your ass and get out there and move on and do things. And it has taken me a while to actually, exactly what you say, we can all do it if we try. We've just got to get rid of this. And we are doing now, aren't we? We are coming forward now.
And Sherry,
We
darling,
are.
I'm happy to give you a slap at any time, darling. Just
Well,
I
Right.
enjoy it,
Sanjeev,
actually.
we work with people that are incredible. We're so privileged, aren't we?
You know, the thing is that you know, people kind of I think misuse the term privilege quite a bit, because I think for most people their shorthand is money, and it is so not. You know, you can be, you know, privileged in your friendships is possibly the greatest gift you can have. I mean, it's because money, one day you can have it, one day you don't. Experiences are with you forever. So the people that you've met along the way, you know, to see that as your wealth and that as your privilege, I think it just puts a different spin on it. But again, it's that thing about surrounding yourself with positive people. And, you know, a lot of people pick up flotsam and jetsam in their lives of people who, you know, that you might have met on a job or that you've just known for a long time. And actually, when you really analyze your relationship with them, you know, ever so slightly toxic, you know, and so, you know, and it's difficult then to kind of, you know, push them away or reject them, because you don't want to do that to people. But understanding that relationship, I think, becomes, you know, a great source of self-help and self-help.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely.
No, absolutely.
It's very nice
Yeah.
to talk to a man who talks like this, actually.
It's
Not that
really
I'm not-
refreshing.
English.
In English. No, but
No, it's amazing.
You're a man in touch with himself. I was going to say, does that sound rude? You're a man in touch with his
Emotions.
Emotions,
yes.
Say
feelings.
what you mean, Debbie. Say what you mean. Get us out there.
It's quicker.
Do you know what the thing is that I was talking to someone recently, and I said that, you know, as a kid growing up, you know, there were you know, singers that I loved who came from all sorts of backgrounds. There were actors from all sorts of backgrounds, all sorts of countries, writers from all sorts of countries, and all the genders. And so there was never a point at which I could generalize about anyone, whether they were black or whether they were South American, or whether they were Jewish, or whether it was a woman, because I loved what they did. And so, you know, in that sense, the idea that one could generalize about anyone, and given that, you know, this week has been International Women's Day was this week, women in particular, was just bizarre to me, that you could think that women were limited in some way when there was, you know, a fantastic writer or a fantastic singer or a songwriter or, you know, a playwright or an actor that you'd seen whose work that you admired. It just seemed, it still seems to me utterly stupid to kind of then make a generalization about women. So I grew up that way, you know, so.
Yeah, you were involved with a March for Women as well, weren't you, in your way?
I was, yeah. I went last year, and this year it was obviously it was all remote, and it was just about showing your
of course.
support online. But you know, I mentioned Alan Alda of MASH fame, who's one of my really good friends, and you know, one of the many admirable things and incredible things about him was that in the 70s, when he was making MASH, in the time they had off, he would go around America advocating for equal rights for women. And the women in America, under the Constitution, do not have equal rights with men to this day.
Really?
And,
That's right.
And
That's
constitutionally, they don't. And so Alan was one of the male leading voices advocating for equal rights under the Constitution.
Wow.
So, you know, when I look at people like that who are around me now, and I kind of go, yeah, we're birds of a feather. You know, it's of course you would do that. It seems ridiculous if you respected your mum or loved your sister or, you know, respected your daughter, that you wouldn't want that for them, you know, let alone all the other women out there who are doing.
That's so lovely to hear you say that, Sanjeev. That you're brilliant. You really are.
I had a very stupid time with Alan Alda, because he's my hero. I worship Alan Alda. And when I did Loose Women, he came on, and I'd read his books, and I was the only girl on the panel that had read his books. So he sat next to me, and I was paralyzed. And the anchor at the time said, Sherry is the person that's read all your books, and, you know, she did it. And he went, oh, really? You know what? I couldn't speak.
Yeah.
I was completely paralyzed. I kept thinking, this is Alan Alda, who is sitting next to me with his hand on my hand, and I couldn't speak.
His hand on your hand?
All I did then, Sanjeev, I burst into tears.
Oh.
I mean, it was just so stupid. And I said to him, after I said, I'm so sorry. I just can't believe that I felt such an idiot. But he has got such a charisma. He's so charismatic, isn't he? And you just go, whoa, he gives off this fantastic, anyway, that was
he and his wife are two of the most positive, life-affirming people I've ever met. And,
really?
you know, we've gone, whenever we've gone to New York, we've kind of stayed with them, and, you know, when they come here, they come and have dinner. And
when did you meet?
On the Kumars. He was the last guest on the BBC Kumars. And I was like, Sherry, I couldn't speak, burst into tears. And we hit it off and kept in touch and stayed in touch, and it developed from there. And so this is what I mean about, you know, I mean, you met Alan Alda, you know, I'm friends with Alan Alda. How can I ever be an unlucky person? I could be going through something difficult, but I can't be unlucky. It's the evidence is there, you know. It's So and he's somebody who is relentlessly positive. He's incredibly funny. I mean, he's 85 now. And
Wow.
initially, when we used to exchange emails, he used to correct mine and send them back, which, you know, he'd go, "That was a really good joke. Try harder next time." And, you know, it was just
Wow.
utterly lovely and entertaining and super supportive. I mean, he's
And
just
brilliant
a glorious
actor. Such a brilliant. I mean, I've got MASH on a loop, so I
Yeah,
watch
me
him
too.
constantly. I can't not watch him. It just fills me with joy. And what an actor! I don't know. I suppose people do realise how good he was, don't they? I guess.
Yeah, well, he's
don't know.
got, you know, I think he's a record holder in terms of the number of Emmys he's been nominated for and
Yeah, of
won and
course.
stuff like that.
Yeah,
But I
Of
think that,
course.
and in a
He
way,
has such
you know,
diversity in his talent and the characters that
Yeah.
he plays, whatever he does. He's just
yeah, and I
extraordinary.
think, you know, also, you know, what is it? Once in a generation, you get a character that comes along that matches the actor so perfectly, like
Yes.
Peter
Yes.
Falk and Columbo, and
Yes.
you know, and
Oh
God,
God,
Guy
yes.
Pearce and
Yeah.
Alan Alda are just a kind of perfect fit. And you know, it's that thing of you know, we love people that we see on screen for our reasons.
Yeah.
You know, we're projecting, and so when you meet them, there is that slight kind of like, you know, nervousness about what they're
Oh.
going to be like. And when they are that and more, it is incredibly moving.
so
I mean,
wonderful.
Yeah.
Yes.
we've all met people that we've admired, and you know, there are people that, you know, I've grown up as an adult and admired and met, and it's my admiration that you know, goes through it. And if they're
Yeah.
not a particularly nice person, I still admire what they do. And then there are those people who kind of just go to a deeper emotional level.
Yeah.
And in a way, I've always believed that, you know, if there's somebody that you admired when you were young and you're lucky enough to meet them, it's the kid in you that responds.
Yes.
You know, it's the adult on
Absolutely
the
right,
face
isn't
of
it?
it saying, "Lovely to meet
Absolutely.
you, and I love your
Yeah.
work." But inside, it's the kid who's kind of going, "Oh my
Hello.
God!"
Exactly. Oh my God, it was awful. Now you reminded me.
Yeah.
I think meeting, I was 8, and I think I may have said this before, but I went up in a lift with Fred Astaire. My mum was writing a film, we were in
Oh.
Italy. I
Oh,
went up in
wow.
the lift with Fred Astaire, and I said, I loved you in Singing in the Rain.
Oh.
And he was really charming and said, thank you. I couldn't be more wrong, because obviously that was Gene Kelly, but he was so sweet.
I was in a lift once with Alfred Hitchcock, and my mother said to him, "You're really handsome in real life," and he said, "That's what my mother always said." He was obviously drunk at the time.
What were you going to say,
Yeah.
Sanjeev?
I can't remember whether I told you last time. Have I ever told you about the first famous person I ever met?
No.
No.
Okay, so I was at university and I went to the theatre with my girlfriend to watch a play with Jack Lemmon in it, who was one of my heroes.
Oh, me too.
In the audience at the interval, you know, we couldn't afford a drink each, so we bought one that we could share. And I looked over, and there, majestically standing at 6'5" or whatever it was Howard Keel. And I said to my girlfriend, I said, "That's Howard Keel. Oh my goodness, I've never seen anyone famous before. It's Howard Keel. I've got to go and speak to him. I have to go and say something to him." And so I kind of walked over, and he was old school. He'd gone to the theater in his bow tie and his dinner jacket, and he was talking to someone who was probably very famous, who I didn't recognize. And I interrupted and I said, "Mr. Keel," I said, "I just wanted to say how lovely it is to meet you in person. I'm such a huge fan of all your work, from the musicals to Day of the Triffids and Dallas as well. And I hope you have a lovely evening, and thank you very much." And he said, "Well, thank you." And I went and sat down, and I sat down and I felt like I was 10 feet tall. I felt, you know, I was kind of invincible.
Oh, that's lovely.
And I realized it doesn't end there. It doesn't end well. That he was sitting 3 rows in front of me. We were in the circle. And to my utter to this day, to my utter shock, I found myself shouting, "Howard, Howard, Howard!" You know, and he turned around, and I said, "Do you want a vanilla tub? I'm going to get a vanilla tub. Do you want a vanilla tub?" And there was part of me going, "What the hell are you doing?" And there was the part of me that was, and I said that just as the lights were dimming for the second half, with everyone in between staring at it. And all I could do for the second half of that play was try to guess when it was going to end, so I could leave before the lights came up.
Oh God, how
What did he
Oh
embarrassing!
no!
Why
Didn't
did
he
he-
answer you
Terrible.
though? He didn't answer you, obviously.
No.
He was in
Why
shock.
would
I mean,
he?
he was just. There were 3 rows of people between us. It was kind of. I mean, it would have
Oh,
been
that's
great if he'd said
hilarious.
yes.
Oh, well, I'm going
Absolutely.
to drop a name
Oh.
now. I met Justin Hoffman. So, and this is going to end very badly. So, one of the only times I go into the Ritz, I don't go into the Ritz, you know, for a drink, because that sounds ridiculous because it's too expensive. So, a friend of mine, when I go to the Ritz, and I said, I'm going to, you know, they've got an old-fashioned revolving door at the Ritz. And I got into the part of the room, and then I saw Justin Hoffman coming towards the revolving door, and I went, "Ah, that's Justin!" Really loud and really awful, and it was. As he walked into the lift, as I kicked the revolving door, it got stuck. So I was stuck on one side, going, "Oh my God!" And he's going, "What the?" Oh, sorry. And I couldn't move the door, and he was going like that, and I was going, "Oh hi, it's just I was trying to terrible." And then I started to cry, which I always do when I meet famous people. And he was going, and he pushed it and flew. And the Ritz, just by this, I've got stairs that go down and went all the way down the stairs.
Oh,
And I didn't leave it. I went right round the other side and went, "Oh, I'm so sorry." Oh, and then my friend grabbed me and she said, "Come away, leave him." And I dragged, it was just, and all these people came up as if I was like a crazed woman. I said, "Could you please step back?"
As if you were.
Terrible.
why would
terrible.
why would they have thought
Oh.
that? I mean, it's just.
Seriously,
I
as
mean,
if you were.
That is so
awful.
funny.
I went to the opening night of Gypsy on Broadway. I was invited to go. It's probably 2003 or 2004, and I was invited to go. So by the guy who owned the theatre, and very old friends. I said, "Lovely! How lovely to go to the Broadway opening night." Can you imagine? He said, "I can't be there, but a friend of mine's going to look after you. So here's your one ticket." I got my one ticket. I'm 4 seats back from the front of the stage, and I'm looking around. There's everybody. There's Sigourney Weaver. There's, you know, the place is full of stars. And then I'm the third person in this row, and the people sitting there. And this guy leans over and he goes, "Debbie," and I said, "Yeah." He said, "I'm looking after you. It's Tom." It was Tom Hanks.
Oh my
My
goodness. Oh wow.
And I went, "Hello." And
Yeah, I'd have cried. I'd have
And I
cried.
went, "I'm fine." And then at the interval, he said, "I'll just go and would you like an ice cream?" And he went and he got me an ice cream and brought it back. And then after the show, he took me out because he was with his wife. She was this side of me. And then they took me to the party afterwards. And I went to my friend, "Why did you tell me it was going to be Tom Hanks who was looking after me?" And I was so shocked. Anyway, that's my story.
That's
I have no
great.
nice stories at all.
Can I've got one. I have got one
Go.
story. I had lunch with Bob Mitchum and his wife
Oh.
Dorothy.
Oh wow.
Yeah, in the 70s with my parents at the White Elephant. I don't know you're too young to remember, Sanjeev,
I
but the White
remember it.
Elephant was amazing. Stella Richmond owned it, beautiful restaurant. And I don't know why they were talking to Robert Mitchum, but it was Robert Mitchum and Dorothy, his wife, that he'd married aeons before. And I don't have a funny story, but I do remember them telling us about their marriage. It was before he made it, before he was a movie star.
Wow.
And how they got married in this house in California, and they were very poor because he was a struggling actor, and they said they could. And I always remember this story, how the smell of greens cooking next door, which you can imagine, but how fabulous to be told this by Robert Mitchum and Dorothy.
Yeah.
Wow.
And, you know, amazing, and they were delightful people, and that was amazing.
Darling,
amazing.
thank you
so
for
much.
coming in to see us. Thank
Well,
you so much.
Darling,
Always a delight. I mean, I
You've
feel
exhausted me,
energized and
Sanjeev.
thank you.
Liberated.
let's not put any
Darling.
context to that, Sherry.
No.
We're not going to talk. I'm not offering you a vanilla tub. Just saying that now.
Oh,
No,
Thank you for
listen, it's
coming
always
to
a
see
delight.
us.
And
Soon.
honestly, it's
Thank
just
you.
so wonderful to be surrounded by such kind of joy and positivity and
Good.
energy, and lots of love to all of you.
Oh,
Thank
we
you,
love
darling.
it.
Thank you, darling.
Lots
Thank
of
you.
love.
It's just a joy, isn't he?
Absolutely
every
brilliant.
time
Oh.
he comes on.
I'm still
Lifts-
laughing,
Love
actually.
him.
Lifts my spirits, or lifts our spirits so wonderfully.
He really does.
He's amazing, amazing. So Dee, who is coming in on Friday?
Well, the amazing, wonderful Susie Quattro is coming back into the nest.
Wow.
Because she loved
Yes.
it here so much last time. She's making a reappearance, which is amazing.
Fabulous.
And Debbie Matthews, who actually is Bruce Forsyth's daughter, but she's
Yes.
doing something very worthwhile about dog theft. And I think we've all got to tune in and really, really follow her, because this is something that she's doing on Sunday. So
Yeah.
Okay.
Fantastic.
okay.
We'll see you there, darling.
Okay.
That's fabulous.
See you Friday.